Okay.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm fine. So I have something for us to listen to if you haven't already. It's because I'm avoiding the news, but yeah,
Okay.
listen to Ezra Klein's latest podcast, February 4th.
Okay.
Don't believe him. It's hard.
Yeah. Remind me the name of his show.
I don't know the name of a show, but are you a New York
Okay.
Times subscriber or I found it on YouTube. I
Okay.
actually
Okay.
went to Ezra Klein. I went to the New York Times, Ezra Klein, but then I found it on YouTube. And
Okay.
it's February 4th, I think he posted it.
Okay.
But the title being Don't Believe Him. And you know, it was
Okay.
good.
It's the first thing that comes up in Google when you type in Ezra Klein. So
Yeah.
Okay.
it
Yeah.
must
It'll be
be
easy to find.
it must be hitting the world.
Yeah,
I
well
I
it was
usually I love Ezra. He's good. So
he's
Yeah.
very articulate and
yeah.
I with him as my guide, I could even bear a photo of the monstrosity, but I could turn away sort of.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
how did the infusion go?
Oh, today was like the worst one I've had in a long time, actually.
Oh no.
I'm
Poor
Yeah.
sorry.
Jenna.
I'm sorry to start with that, but
I asked.
yeah, you did ask. Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with the nurse who came today, but it she could not get the IV placed, and so she had to call another nurse, and I had to we had to wait for the other nurse to arrive, and she just left like 15 minutes ago when the my appointment was at 9 o'clock. So
Oh, Jenna.
I'm like not 100% myself, but I want to be here for you all and appreciate your grace and patience with me. And we're just gonna move on. We're gonna move forward, just
Well,
like
we can
we
be here
do
for you
when
too.
just like we do when circumstances are not ideal. Right? Am I
Right.
Right,
right?
right.
And yeah. And Jessica's here, and it's her first session with
I'm gonna
us.
join you with not, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna join you with not being my full self. This right here is not water, my friends. What do we think this is? It's not vodka.
Oh no, is it
You're
is
gonna
it
guess it.
is it a
Yes!
what did you say, Lacelle?
The
Colonoscopy.
colonoscopy fluid.
That's what I was
Oh
thinking, and
God,
I
all
couldn't
right.
find the words for
Yeah,
it.
so I'm prepping. So I may be in and out. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm in the initial
Yeah.
stages, but I'm here.
If
Partially
Good.
you'll
here, but here.
Is this your
since
first?
No, this is my, I don't know, third or fourth. I started way before the recommended age because thought I had an issue going on and they had to check me. And then they just said, then they found a polyp and then they said, okay, now come every X amount of years. So I think this is my one, two, three. This is my fourth one.
uh well then
But they,
I'm sorry, you're an old
I
hand.
know.
You'll be running out right away. You probably have time
Yeah,
for this.
it's gotten so much better. I mean, this is just like Marilax and Propel, and it actually doesn't taste that bad. I remember when it tasted like you
Yeah.
could just barely get it down. So, and the friend of mine said that they give pills now. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Has anyone
I
done
have
that?
I have mine coming up in the end of the month, and I've got a prescription. I already picked it up. I've got pills. So, and but when I did it before, it was kind of like what you have, Jessica, like the little
She,
cocktail thing.
my friend said it was awesome with the pills. She's like, you have to wake up like in the middle of the night or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know, but at least she did. But she said it's fabulous. Like so, and this isn't too bad. It's just an inconvenience, right? Because you're kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
And I love food, so the not eating part is really hard on me. But anyway, we don't need to chat about that the whole time.
That's okay. We're sharing our physical ailments and woes at the beginning to start to kick things off. Let's just talk
Right.
about
Right.
all
Anyone
of
else?
our yeah. Well, I don't know if you caught the end of it, Jessica, but right as you were joining, Margaret had asked about my infusion this morning, which wasn't awesome. So we're both not 100% today. So and
Right,
that's
right.
okay. That's okay.
That's where
But
the really
Jessica's
creative stuff comes out, right?
100%. 100%. Since this is your first session with us, let's do brief intros because I want to make sure you know everyone here. And Margaret, will you go first?
Sure. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. I think you'll love being part of this group. I do. I've been in the group for a while now because Jana was the developmental editor for my memoir that in no small part, thanks to Jana, is going to be published. So I'm really thrilled about that. But continue to find this community a source of support and laughter and just really good things. So welcome.
Thank you. And hi, Molly. I was just about to type in the chat. We're doing brief intros because this is Jessica's first session with us. So we're just going around.
Hello.
Yeah. Margaret was first. So Barbara, will you go next?
Yeah, sure. Jessica, great to meet you. Echoing what Margaret says, this is like a cornerstone. This community is a cornerstone of my life, not just my writing life, but my everything life. And also thanks to Jana and thanks to this community, I have a memoir that's being published at the end of this year. And so just continuing with the writing, not this week, but maybe soon. So.
Yeah. Thank you. LaSalle.
With my mouth full, and I'm a little bit like, should I be eating in front of you, Jessica, because you love food? But I am.
It's okay. My husband and I he had his done today. And so I'm like, eat. I don't, I was like, you can't not eat, right? I mean, I like seeing it, other people enjoying it.
Good. So I'm LaSalle, and I've been part of this group for a few years now, and boot camp got me to finish my manuscript, which published August 2023, and then a workbook that sort of came out of my memoir 2024, and I've just sent off my next workbook to my primary editor, so that should come out. I'm expecting probably in about 3 months I'll be tidying that up. And I'm a regular attendee here. And welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Molly, I'll have you go next, and then Jess, you can do a little brief intro to the group.
I was like, no, I missed her. So I'm here. But Margaret, did I know that your book is getting published?
Maybe you didn't. Yeah, with She Writes Press. So yes, it is being published. I know. I'm very excited.
That is so exciting.
Thank you. I just sent it. The good news is I read it again, like for God, how many times I've read it, and still like it. So I just sent it off to the publisher to pass it on to the copyright. Yeah, and it's always a bit of a surprise, like, oh my God, I still like it.
It's so fun when you go back and read something and you're like,
dude, what? Yeah, or if you go like, oh wow, I nailed that sentence.
Who wrote this?
Right, exactly.
Well, I'm Molly. Molly Mogren Cat, I guess it's on there. I'm in Minneapolis. I am Jana's first boot camp victim. I've been with this group since I don't know, the end of
2020.
2020, yeah, somewhere. And yes, I've taken a couple months off because things were a little cuckoo around here, but now I'm back. Let's see, my book, Mom Jeans, I have a completed manuscript. It's a memoir about deciding to have kids after growing up with a mom with a lot of mental health issues. And I did sign with an agent last April. Things have been a little slow. I know that's not normal. Just kidding. Everything's slow, but she is now sending out my proposal to a first round of publishers, I guess, and then getting feedback and seeing what happens next. So
exciting.
That's what we're waiting on. She said the things, she had sent or talked to a few different publishers back in the fall and said people were sort of like not interested or just feeling overwhelmed with the election, and not really like wanting to move forward with a lot of stuff till people kind of understood what was going on. And now that we know what's going on,
I was gonna say, and now it's so much better.
well, you know what? To her, she did say that stories like mine and like a lot of yours are more important than ever now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's more interest like in these kinds of stories because my story is a lot about there's a lot about like adoption trauma, a lot about unplanned pregnancies and stuff, and that's sadly still something that we like,
Yes.
yeah, need to be
Yes.
talking about, right?
Yes.
So here we are. Here we
Yeah.
are. Anyway, that's where I'm at, guys.
Thank you.
hmm
Jess.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to meet you. Molly, you missed my intro. I'm prepping for a colonoscopy. So
I
if you see
love those.
if you see me popping in and out, it hasn't hit me yet, but it could. Um, so I am I'm writing a memoir. My son and he was 16 at the time, he's 17 now, hiked the entire Appalachian Trail last year, starting March 22nd and ending October 12th. And it actually wasn't the book I planned on writing, to be honest. I had like three other books in my head, which are still in the back burner. But this one just rose to the top. It was the Without getting into full detail, just right here, it was a very bold parenting move in a situation where people don't do what we did in the situation we did, and it worked out. My whole process with my husband with this was like, what if it doesn't work? And he's like, but what if it does? And it did. So I won't give all the details away just quite yet, but so I'm writing a memoir about that. One of the things that I worked on the trail myself was being an overworker and a perfectionist. And so, which wasn't the reason I went there, but my husband suggested, hey, maybe there's some things you might want to work on too. It's not just about him, self-care stuff mostly. And so when I came back, as of last month, I completely cleaned my calendar. Part of our business is we host group travel trips around the world. So we canceled all of them for 2025, except for one volunteer one that we're doing, and I completely cleared my schedule to write this book. My husband did not go with us on the hike. He needed to stay and kind of hold down the fort with our business and some other things. But he's been a tremendous support and very pushing me to do it because I always make an excuse, and I have for like a very long time about I can't, I've got to work, I've got to do this, we've got our business, we have kids, all this kind of stuff. So we basically cleared our slate, and I just locked in like 5 months of just book. And one child is in university, very little parenting there. The other one is still at home, but he's 17. He's pretty self-sufficient. And so I just have a really clean schedule right now to do this. And I never have ever had something like this because I've been working since I was a teenager. So I'm grateful for it. And I'm like 65 or 70,000 words in so far. So
And by the way, she started writing, like dedicated writing in like what, October?
yeah.
Really?
You know,
Jessica and I had her initial chat before she signed up, and she's like, "I don't need motivation," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can tell."
because I don't know when I'm going to have this window again, right? I actually created a window to write a different book. Basically, a little bit of our backstories. We've been traveling full time for a decade. And so I was writing that story. I'd cleared some time for that, just a couple of months to at least get it, like the ball rolling a bit. And then something happened within our family, and then we made the decision to go hike the Appalachian Trail. So that was put to bed. And then I went and hiked, and I was like, you know what? If I don't do it like now, something else might come up, and that window might go away. And I've never had a window like this before, or I've never chosen to proactively create a window like this. Is basically what I did. So I was like, I just got to jump on this. And so I said I'm like, I'm gonna write the whole thing in November. It's like, wait a minute. And then the election happened. And then I have a friend who's very ill. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to happen in November. Then the holidays came and I was like, okay, this is where we're going to do it. So anyway, it's nice to meet everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Yeah, thanks everyone for doing your intros, and yeah, great to have you here, Jess. We can call you Jess. Do you prefer Jess or Jessica? Jess.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Jess is fine. Most people call
Okay.
me Jess. Yeah.
Okay. So I keep these pretty loose and open. It's really just like opportunity for I do make sure to allow time for each person to check in, give an update, ask questions, talk through any challenges or ideas that are coming up for you. And if there are any announcements, then I give announcements. And since we're speaking of announcements, I will remind you that we do have a mini retreat this weekend on Saturday, 10 to 1 Pacific. So if you're available, join us for that, and be sure to RSVP to the event post in the More to the Story space. That's where you get the Zoom link. So yeah, we just kind of do roundtable check-ins and spend as much time as we need to talking and sharing. And I will absolutely jump in with direction and guidance, but with the experience that we have in this group now, with Molly having an agent, Barbara and Margaret getting published, and LaSalle, you didn't mention this, but your books are self-published. We have a really wonderful breadth of knowledge and experience with each other, which makes me so happy and proud too. So anyone want to jump in with something that's on their mind? LaSalle, if you're talking, you're on mute, my dear.
I will, is what I said.
Okay.
So this conundrum I have right now with this workbook is called Sensing Our Groundedness. These workbooks, Jess, are some education and some mostly do-it-yourself experiential exercise directions. But so my memoir and my first workbook have similar images and similar looking covers.
Yeah, show us.
So memoir, workbook.
Mm-hmm.
And the images actually happen to be from the same clinic, literally by the same photographer. So I have the one I'm working on and 2 more workbooks in this series, but I don't have pictures that I like the way I like these. And so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about the cover. I mean, the cover design, I'm happy with the designer, and maybe like just, changing some of the theme background color, but use the same font and all that stuff. But I'm a little nervous about the image.
So when was that photo shoot? How long ago was that last photo shoot you did?
Well, it would be on my phone. It's probably 10 or 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
genuine
I do have some other nice pictures from
Okay.
those, but
genuine curious question. You're a published author now.
yeah.
How come you haven't had a new photo shoot?
Well, this wasn't really a photo shoot, just people take pictures at clinics and share them with each other.
Okay,
So,
but you need photos for 3 more books.
I do.
Uh-huh. And you're a published author.
I am.
And you give professional presentations in your field of expertise.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like it's time for a professional photo shoot to me. What's going on?
I'm just in a freeze mode,
Mm-hmm.
not reading.
What's coming up?
It's just sort of a blank with tears around the edges.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know how to do it. That's what that's about. I've never done one. I don't know how to do it. I don't really know who to trust in this area where I live now for 5.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of scammers around.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Lucille,
and
could I,
like,
I'm sorry.
the weather's wrong, there's no nice outside background. My horse is ancient, so I don't know that I want to use the same horse. Just there's
Mm-hmm.
parallel to this too is that my books aren't really just about relationships with horses.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I can switch gears and keep the theme going.
Mm-hmm.
So okay. I'll shut up now and
Margaret has
No,
something.
because I have a suggestion. I don't know if it'll help, but I was feeling sort of overwhelmed about getting an author photo and feeling like, well, I should probably get an author photo, as opposed to having my husband take a photo and then I don't like it and I can't, whatever. And so I actually just talked to an artist I really like and asked her if she had a recommendation. And then I talked to the photographer and we probably talked for 30 minutes and nothing else. I think I made a book sale. And and it was just a question of, and Lucille, I'm sure you are a good judge of character. You'll know, and then you get a price, and they talk to you about how they could do it, and you do it or you don't do it. But reach out to somebody you trust. A lot more
Yeah.
people use professional photographers than you might imagine.
Yeah.
For family photos or for whatever. So
Yeah.
And most photographers these days have a very broad skill set.
oh
you know,
yeah.
can give you, like, I think of a couple of the photographers that I know. They're all based here and would be way too expensive, but they would definitely not shy away from the idea of like book covers, possibly with or without animals, like all the different elements that you're describing would light them up to want to work with you,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Lucille, if it doesn't light them up, they're not sure. Don't work with them.
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a chance to see this woman's portfolio some, and I liked it. And when we talked about the approach she would take, I like that. And so now and she's kind of not responding to me right now because I think she's pretty busy and a little scattered. So I'm going to need to kind of like, okay, Kathleen, give me that price. But I like her. I had just, my intuition said she was someone I could trust.
Yeah.
And
Where are you based? I'm sorry, where are you based,
well,
Leslie?
I'm actually in Massachusetts. I'm in Concord, Massachusetts now.
I'm in Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
And Lacelle, the thing that came to mind for me is first and foremost, there's probably other professionals in your similar line of work who maybe have used a photographer that they like and trust, right? In your field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
start by asking there.
Yeah. And if you're worried about including your horse, it sounds like maybe he doesn't need to be included. If the books going forward aren't specifically equine focused, I think if you show your photographer what you've done already with the first two covers and say, this is the style I'm going for with or without a horse, they should be able to match the style, and the stylistically the covers would still kind of cohesively connect with each other, even if there isn't a horse in it. How's that feeling?
Like I could possibly do this.
Mm-hmm.
You self-published
I was just
a book, Lacelle. You are like unbelievably competent and amazing.
Yeah.
And I will say that you okay, so we did family photos last like a year and a half ago. My husband hates getting his picture taken. And of course I've got two little kids who like whatever. They're hard to do pictures with. And a good photographer, which I mean, people are very good at making you feel comfortable. They'll make you feel comfortable. They'll make you feel confident. And I wouldn't worry so much about what, oh, it's like ugly outside right now. Like I bet where you live, it's never ugly outside. I mean, I believe that. And I believe that, I mean, with a good photographer, all you really need to do is just show up and be you.
Yeah.
And I think you're good at that.
Yeah. Agree.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What might I expect? Like, what's a reasonable fee for something like this?
That's hard. I would say, well, Molly,
I
if
know
you
it's
have,
going to vary from
yeah,
region, but
Mhm.
Yeah, because there's
And-
some places that'll do, okay, so I know some photographers who will just like blitz out like a bunch of headshots, in that case it would be like $200 or something, but you go to a place and you have like 15 minutes. I would say a few $100 minimum, depending on how many pictures you buy. But that's just like, I mean, I had over the weekend, I had written an essay on my Substack, and then like in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities Business Journal wanted to repost it, and they're like, "And send us your headshot." And I was like, "Shit, I didn't have one. I didn't have one that was like any good." So I just took a picture on my iPhone in a hotel room and was like, "Well, this will have to do." So I am also needing to do this, and it's kind of like an awkward thing, like it doesn't, I don't know. I don't think anybody was like, oh, I need to have pictures of myself, blah, but
It really is continuing in the colonoscopy-esque theme. Like it is my headshot session. I was dreading it, and finally I was just like, okay, I have to do it. I did have, for all the reasons we're discussing, and it was very much like a colonoscopy, but it's over, and I like never have to do it again as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you want to update it every couple of years so that you look like yourself.
Yeah, whatever. We'll jump off. I just doubled down on diet and exercise, and I'm like, I'm just gonna look like this forever.
Forever.
Or what's the worst that's gonna happen? I show up somewhere and people are gonna be like, "Wow, she doesn't look like her headshot." Then I might.
yeah, that's what
that's the worst that's
realtors
gonna
everywhere
happen.
do.
Yeah.
But you get over sort of, because I was like, I don't like my hair. It's like, oh God, Margaret, get over it. This is the least of your concerns. Like, just you have to do this. But the photographer I talked to, actually, seriously, she was like, well, I'm dealing with aging parents, and I'm thinking a lot about sort of relationships and stuff like that. And I thought, I have a book sale. Never mind.
Yeah.
Even
You
if I
have a
to
book
buy
sale,
the book for her.
Whether you go with her or not, Margaret, you might have a photographer who, like, to Jana's point, sees the vision differently, even though it's just a headshot. Like, I knew this from the like, from working in the entertainment industry, but like, I had a conversation with my headshot photographer. Like, she picked things, and looking at like the wardrobe I brought in, like, we had like a consult on wardrobe, which I was like, talk about like double colonoscopy. Now we got to talk about like wardrobe, my wardrobe. And I literally was like on a Zoom call with her going through my closet, and she got me chatting about like, what's the book about? What's this? What's that? And then she was like, oh yeah, oh cool, that sounds like an amazing book. Oh, and you also do this. Oh, and you also, oh, that blue thing, bring that blue thing. Oh, and as we're talking, and so it was like she was listening to what I was saying and coming up with ideas as I'm like, with a flashlight into my closet and the phone, like, here, can you see this? So it was, so it definitely, like, I didn't ask her what the thought process was, but there was clearly some like thought going into it as I was putting things out. And then there is a blue, you can't even see it because it's a headshot, but I am wearing a blue dress in my headshot. And, she picked it because she thought it looked like the Cuban flag. And I'm like, yeah, it's Cuban blue. And it's also one of my favorite dresses. And it's the one of those dresses that I have been able to wear for 20 years. So, there was a couple of things. There's things like that they can just pick up on and put into the headshot, even though it's just a headshot. It's not just a headshot. So,
So at Christmas time, we haven't been in the US for 10 years for Christmas. And so we were going to be spending Christmas with both of our families. And of course, parents love family photos. And so we went through an online company. I don't think this would necessarily be good for a book cover, but it might be good for headshots. It's called Flytographer. And basically, I think it's a charge by how many people. So ours was $400 because we had like 8 or 9 people. But I think it's like $200, something like that. It might be a good way if you have it locally to knock out headshots. They meet you at a location. There's not really as much like consulting like you were talking about, Barbara, but they do send you information about this is the colors you should wear, these are the colors you should not wear. And and our photographer, we did one in Cocoa Beach, Florida, and one in Miami. 2 different photographers, and they were just amazing. They made us feel comfortable. They took a bazillion shots, and it was a whole family. And so each family got their own shots, and we only worked with them for 50 minutes. And we were like, and it's an hour shoot, and at 50 minutes, we were like, okay, we're done. Like we've got everything we need to get. And so it's an option for headshots. I don't know how much they are for an individual person, but I'd probably guess a couple hundred. And they seem to be, it's a corporate company who, it's like, Uber like hires these people to work for them. But we were happy with both the people we got. And even in the situation, our son wanted a LinkedIn picture, and he's like, can you do a separate picture of just me that I use on LinkedIn and stuff? So unfortunately, it probably doesn't help with like a book cover, but it could be an option. There might be, something like that that's more built for things like book covers and stuff like that that's out there. You could Google it and see if there's anything. I was very, very happy with this because to get a photographer that's going to do family pictures, I mean, you're talking well over $1,000. And absolutely. So to just get them to come in, shoot for an hour, who wants to be shot for more than an hour anyway, really? I mean, no one loves having their picture taken. No one wants to sit there for 3 or 4 hours. Ours were outside shots, but it's an option. Maybe there's something like that that's, in the realm of book covers or something like that.
I just put the link in the chat. Is that the place, Jess? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, those look like more than headshots to me. I mean, a lot of them are kind of family focused, but just from what I'm seeing on the website, those look like more than just headshots to me.
I think you would probably need to know a little bit about headshots and what you want. If if you wanted to give them some direction, but it's a quick and easy if you're like, oh my gosh, I need one right now and my iPhone isn't going to work or my husband isn't going to work. And, can I knock this out? Because we booked it like that and they were on time and whatever.
Yeah.
Good. And I have a plan of action building because there's an active local equestrian Facebook group, and I can ask there. So be a really good photographer and somebody who's used to, outside horses. Stuff like that.
That's great.
I'll start
Definitely.
there. I start there. You are
Good job. Good job. You're welcome. Yeah. Who else?
Well, Barbara and I have started Yadan's class. I don't know if she wants to say something. So
let's hear it. How is it going?
Well, okay, since I opened my mouth.
Barbara's shrinking back. What?
Barbara, you must step up.
I'm stepping up, sitting up. Hold on. Okay.
No, he's such a lovely man. I mean, he's so smart, that when he talks, though, sometimes for me, I think about, I'm sure this will change, but it's a little bit like the theory of relativity. Like, I understand as long as you keep talking, and then you stop and I go, what? Wait, let's go over that again. But he, as a gift, he bought us each a book, and that's the textbook we're using called How Brands Become Icons, I think.
Nice.
Yeah,
this book. It's like right here, stuffed into my desk chair.
Yeah. So I finished the reading. I dedicated myself to kind of doing that, and I think it's going to really challenge my thinking about brand and how this memoir fits into that and how I talk about it. And he's lovely, Jana, and I would never have met him without you. So thank you so very much for that.
You're welcome.
And we're a really small group. We're only 4 people.
Oh, wow.
Plus Yadan. Yeah.
Okay, good. Getting lots of attention from him. Yeah, I think he is wonderful as well. Obviously, I would never have introduced him to you all if I didn't. And I'm so happy you guys are working with him and getting a lot out of what he has to offer. Because I agree. I think he's brilliant. So good.
All right, I'm going to jump right in.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so obviously I'm a bit type A if you can't tell. And that part I like, so I'm not going to work on that too much. I've done enough working on myself lately. Okay, so I need like you guys' opinions, thoughts, experience on editors. Um, this is my initial thought, and it's based on absolutely no knowledge of this. It's just like kind of what I pulled out of my ass. I'm like, oh, this might be a good idea. So I'd love some feedback on it. First question is, do you guys use more than one editor? Like, do you have one edit it and then hand it off to a completely different person to look at it, and maybe even a third? Second question is, what am I looking at for costs? And third is, how do you go about finding your editor? Because right now I'm like books that I like, the editing, or if the author, if someone has like complimented their editor and said, oh boy, this book is real shit and they did a great job, I'm like, oh, I write down their name, and but budget obviously is of concern. So if you guys can weigh in on your thoughts on any of that. The book is not done, but I want to be like ready to go when it's done. I don't want to be done and then have to wait 6 months or a year until the editor has time. Like I want to kind of get the ball rolling. And if that's not the way to go, give me your thoughts on that as well.
I have thoughts on this, Jana. I know you have thoughts on this too, because hello. Okay. I'm going to tell you what my process has been here because I
And
totally
if
get
I
what you're
step away, it's because I need to use the
saying. It's
bathroom, but you won't hear anything. I'll have it, but I'm still listening.
honesty. Okay. So wait, here's one thing I want to know. How many, Jana, have you done a round of edits? Or
On
what?
Jess?
Yes.
No, she's still
I'm not
generating.
done yet. I'm not done yet.
Here's the thing. Jana's amazing. Jana is amazing. And by the time you are done working with her on your manuscript, you're going to have a bomb-ass manuscript. I'm just going to tell you. You will. And the thing is, you probably will want another editor or someone to help you later. Here's what I have found. So I finished my manuscript in like 2021-ish, and I signed with a that's a whole story. I signed with a different agent a couple years ago. I did a round of edits with her that I agreed with, I felt good about. And then I had to break up with her. And now I'm working with a new agent, and I have decided to just leave my manuscript, my totally good, probably not finished manuscript until I figure out who I'm going to publish it with or how it's going to get published. Because what I anticipate happening is once someone's like, yes, I want to publish this. However, I want you to do X, Y, and Z to it. I I think until you have like a plan for moving forward with a publisher, I think what you will end up with having working with Jana will be like it'll get it where you want it to be. Because then you're going to work with someone who's like thinking about it from a marketing standpoint and all these other things. And then I think that's when you kind of get those I get those like people who are, Jana's in the acknowledgments, and then maybe another editor is in the acknowledgments when there's like a kind of a business plan, right, to go with your book. I don't really know how you're planning on publishing your book, so I guess that would be another question. Are you guys tracking with me here?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
No, Jana was a fabulous editor for me. So I had a strong manuscript after her work, after our work together. And then the only other I did after I sat with it some more and looked at changes that Jana had recommended, I did share it with a mentor of mine, someone I've known for a long, long time, and he read it also because I wanted Ken to weigh in later down the path, and that was helpful for me, but it really didn't change things from a substantive level, at a substantive level. Now I am going to pay for a copy editor to do this work, but that's a very different task. And I think I have a friend who's working with an agent and successfully, and her agent gave her a lot of feedback, but then and then the publisher I don't think actually the publisher made many changes. The book was really solid when it went to the publisher. So Jana's your editor.
Yeah, Jana's your editor. And I'll just add that I also am of the mindset that if Jana told me it would be good for my book to go jump off a cliff, I would have jumped off the cliff already. But Jana is definitely your editor. And then after I felt like, okay, I got the manuscript to an incredibly solid place working with Jana, I did 2 rounds of readings. Margaret was one of my readers. And so there was sort of like I know I'm going to get smart feedback from people. And then there was sort of like a general, more like, you're someone I know who I think would like the book, number 1, because you know me, but number 2, you don't know me well enough. Like, you're not my brother, my brother just read the book. He loved it, but not from Margaret, but from other people within that group of feedback, I could tell what feedback resonated based on the work that Jana and I had done together, so it was like, oh, I can throw out that comment. I can keep this comment. Oh, this is lighting me up. And this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to look at, I'm going to take another pass through. I'm going to do a deeper dive on, and all this other stuff just gets flushed down the toilet, or it's like, oh, thank you for the Amazon review. Can you just actually post that when the book is actually published? That it did a good job for me for filtering feedback, because this is my first book. So in the process of, not only did Jana do an incredible job on this book, Jana also taught me how to receive feedback, and kind of filter it moving forward, and Jana also helped me understand like what this book is, which informed everything after that. So it's informing the marketing plan and our class with Yadon and everything. So
yeah, I second everything Barbara's saying. I think the other thing that's really important.
Except maybe the jumping off the cliff part.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Well,
did.
no, I would have.
Which I would never tell anyone to do, by the
Similar,
way. I know
more
we're
similar,
joking, but
what Jana said, so I would never have finished the book without Jana. I mean, I kept writing myself into corners, and with Jana's help and vision, she let me see what the structure could be, and then I had a structure I could work with. But I think one of the critical things to remember is it's your book. And one of the things that I know that Jana helped me with was we never lost sight of that. She helped me clarify my own thinking and not and how I needed to tell the story. She helped me see the patterns of the story. But I had an agent look at the book, and I was so keen to get this agent that she had me like change the beginning, and then later I looked at it and I was kind of on board because I thought I had a deal, and then I was like, well, I don't like this. Wait a minute, no, no, and I went back to what I had done before. So don't lose sight of your own intuition and your own vision for what you're doing, I guess I would say.
Yeah. Thank you all. I mean,
That's very helpful. I'm going to go to the restroom, but I'm going to hear you guys. You're not going to hear me, but you can keep talking.
Okay.
Good luck.
I'll just leave because you guys clearly don't need me. You guys can just take over. No, I'm kidding. Well, I wanted to add
because I'm worried. We do need you, and because I'm like, what cliff do I jump off of next?
No, but just to help you a little more specifically about what you might need. These ladies are wonderful singing my praises, which I so appreciate, but we haven't talked granularly about the specifics and details as far as like the type of editing that we're talking about. So all of these women here have received what's called developmental editing. And that is high level, holistic. We look at the whole picture. We look at the whole manuscript. We look at structure. We look at how setting and context is being developed. We look at point of view. We look at voice. We look at language, the balance of showing versus telling, which is like scene development versus exposition and narration. And so that's the type of editing that I do. And it's usually the first stage of editing, because even once you have a bunch of material, you're still developing, you're still trying to figure it out, you're still refining. And that refining process all happens with this type of feedback that I'm talking about. And then from there, what you do with it does really depend on your publishing path, as Molly kind of alluded to. So maybe you get an agent and the agent has some feedback, and you do a little bit of revising and tweaks based on the agent feedback, because that person is going to be responsible for championing your book and your manuscript to publishers. And then if you get a publisher, just like Barbara was talking about, and Molly, I think you mentioned this too, she's leaving it alone until she has an editor at a publisher who now is shaping it and getting it ready for publication. And that could be another round of edits and review. And then from there, when it's ready to be published, you go through copy editing, you go through proofreading, all of which Liselle did on her own, hiring different folks to do that work because she was self-publishing. So you can have more than one person look at it. You can have an editor you hire look at it. You can have agents. You can have the editor at your publishing house. Again, that all is dependent upon the publishing path that you choose. So it's a lot to think about up front, especially when you're like right at the beginning of it. I don't want to overwhelm you because that's been a lot of information all at once. But so what other questions or clarifying questions do you have? And Liselle.
Just how long should someone expect it to be at an editor, like with the editor working on it? Is it
really
a couple
depends.
months? Is
it
it
depends on the editor and how
okay?
much material you have. So when I have done a complete manuscript, and it also depends on my capacity, like how many I have at a time. But I can usually do, if it's around 75,000 words, I can usually do that in between 4 to 6 weeks.
So I was
And then
looking at,
what's a typical cost for something like that? And I mean, I can discuss your costs offline,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
is it an hourly rate? Is it a cut fee? Is it
Some
a flat rate?
editors charge flat rates. Some editors charge by the word or
Okay.
page. I do flat rate with a range of word count.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, for the volume that you have, you could start like all these ladies when they worked with me, we did partial manuscripts along the way. So I was reviewing 30,000 words and then 30,000 words and then the complete manuscript. So you have enough that you could say, "Oh, I want to get like a partial edit on like the beginning 1/3 or something like that." But you could also wait. It sounds like you're close to being done and ready with like your complete, because did you say you have 75,000 words?
I have, like, the last I checked, I think it was around 65, but I'm
Okay.
overwriting big time
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm only a third of what I want to write done. So if we factor that in, I'm looking at like 200,000 words.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay with overwriting. I can cut it back. And even before it goes to, to you or whatnot, but I don't want to have, I don't know what happened. I just started writing and it just kept going.
Yeah.
And I was
I
like, oh
mean,
wow, I've barely touched the, like
that's
we
totally
just got on
fine.
the trail. I've done all the first third is like whatever happened before the trail. Now we're on the
Yeah.
trail and I've still
Yeah.
got a lot left.
Yeah. That's totally fine. I always advise authors at this stage to just write what you need to write without censoring yourself, and you have too much material, that's totally fine. And one of the nonfiction bootcamp modules is about, I don't remember which one it is because there's two. The developing your draft module is split into two. So one of those does talk about preparing your manuscript for submitting it to an editor, including like tips and strategy for doing some self-editing and preparing it as best you can before you send it to someone. Yeah.
Okay, that
So,
helps. I'll let someone else kind of go on their questions now. But that's really helpful. If you
okay.
guys think of anything after the fact, like, oh, I should have told her that, then send me a message and let me know because I know nothing about that process of the game.
And LaSalle, you
Just
had
a
something
little
to add.
something to add. If you look for another editor after you work with Jana, what I did is I had somebody in mind, and I sent them like 3 pages or 1 chapter or something like that. And so it just as a trial to get a sense of how they would edit, and did that work for me?
Mhm.
So
Do most editors do that? Are they receptive to that?
They should. Yeah.
if they're worth hiring, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was for copy editing, right, LaSalle?
I'm not good with these different editing definitions. I know it
That's
wasn't the
okay.
big organization stuff, but some
Yeah.
of what my editor offered at times had the developmental flavor, but it was mostly the other kinds of editing.
Like punctuation, word choice, clarity.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
it's worked out, and she's on my 3rd book now with me.
Mhm.
Where sometimes she just will restructure a sentence. Sometimes she'll
Yeah.
ask me a question. So some of it she'll just go in there, and it's all on track changes. So if I don't like what she's done, I don't have to accept it. But I did that. I did start with, here's a chapter. Let me pay you to edit it so I can see if I want to give you my whole book.
Yeah. Good stuff. Someone else, we have a few minutes left. Molly, you kind of gave us an update a little bit in your intro, but is there anything else you want to add?
I know.
Or
I feel like I overshared in my intro.
Mm-mm.
But I just it's so funny, Jessica, when she was talking about being so type A and like wanting to work on the next steps, I'm like I feel like I just have had to like fall in love with the process of writing and publishing a book, because things have just moved really slowly, and more slowly than I expected. And not really, I'm not like, it's not bad or anything. It's just it all takes a while. So I just think like sometimes we force ourselves to like create work so we feel busy, like something's happening or something. But right now I'm literally just like waiting and checking in with my agent, and I don't know, just trying to like continue my own writing practice on I'm still doing Substack stuff, and it's not like making me rich. That's not the point. The point is to be writing regularly and publishing stuff.
And your stuff is getting picked up by local publications. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
You guys, I'm having the best thing happen, which is that my neighborhood, it was greatly affected by the murder of George Floyd. Like things burned to the ground. And but historically this has been like a really, really fun, vibrant, young neighborhood, and it just like hasn't been for 10 years. And then it got way worse in 2020. So I wrote this piece about, because all anybody does here is bitch about it, like the crime, the construction, whatever. So I wrote this thing about my vision for the neighborhood. Well, I have had like 50 people who are developers in Minneapolis, who are business owners, neighbors, politicians, who are like, yes, we love this. Let's make this happen. And it's just giving me a lot of life when like all of the other things happening in the news makes you just want to curl up and die.
Yeah.
So,
Molly, that is so great.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I had so many people who were like, you are such a good writer. Wow, you put into words what I have been feeling but couldn't quite say. And
Listen, Molly, I read that post and I was like, I don't even live there. And this sounds cool.
Yeah, sounds
Like,
awesome.
I would go hang out there if this is the way it was.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. So it was invigorating in the sense that it's like what we do matters. Just because everyone has a Substack and everyone's writing whatever, and doesn't mean that I don't know, what we do and what we have to say doesn't count or something. It's
Yeah.
been really fun. So
I love it.
mhm.
I'm so
So
glad to hear that. Which is
Yeah.
going to help build your platform and your following, which is going to help sell
Yeah.
your book. So
Yes, all those things.
Hey,
yeah.
Molly, I'm signing up for your Substack. I didn't realize you were on Substack. I'm still.
Oh.
I think
Here, drop a link.
everyone,
Here, I'll drop a link in the chat.
No, I
Margaret,
you did already, and I about your colonoscopy.
Oh
so
yeah,
I
about
said
my
I could find
colonoscopy.
The
that.
colonoscopy, Molly's colonoscopy Substack is really good too.
I
I
can't
have
wait
that in
to
the
read
chat.
that.
the
Yeah.
link is in the chat. And
Should I read it tonight or tomorrow after?
Yeah, read it. You'll be like, I was like, this is so embarrassing. And then all of a sudden I was like, this is so important. Who cares? I'm not embarrassed at all anymore. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Substack, Margaret, are you gonna succumb to the peer pressure? Because everyone on this call has a Substack except for you.
I know. Well, I'll go
Margaret,
follow you.
Margaret.
I know.
I'm still.
This is the jumping
I'm-
off the cliff.
I'm still this is the jumping off the cliff.
This is jumping off the cliff.
I'm sort of thinking more blog kind of thing, newsletter. I mean, I'll tell you, and maybe you guys can talk me away
But
from it.
that's what Substack is.
Well, what I don't like about Substack is that it feels like it's insistent about that you pay for it. And I don't mind paying for the work of friends of mine, but I feel like that's not out. It feels a little.
Everybody's shaking their head.
You can
Margaret, do you want to hear something wild? I told Jana this because I started my Substack like a year ago and I did it just I was like, I'm not planning on ever having a paywall. I mean, I don't know, maybe I will sometime. But in the first day, I made $1,000 within the first week. Sorry, but people were just like, but I've never had a paywall on any of my posts before. People are just like, oh, I want to support you.
Well,
I mean, now that's like, it's not like like I said, I'm not getting rich off of it, but
no, but I mean that's great. And I guess the only other, and we can take this up at another meeting. The other
yes,
thing I've heard about Substack is from like one writer who left it was that it's wonderful for trying out new writing, but you're really talking to you're talking to other writers, mostly writers and educators. And
Nope.
that happened by my experience.
Nope, me
Okay.
neither.
Yeah.
Me neither.
all right.
I love Substack. We should talk about it at another meeting.
Yeah,
let's-
actually, well, and I appreciate, see, this is another part of this group, see, Jess, they don't really let you get a pass. You try, you kind of.
Your people find you,
Mhm.
And
and you find
it
your
helps.
people. And
Yeah.
it's really, I find such value in that.
Yeah.
And
Half
people-
of, maybe half of my 96
on
subscribers are people I don't know. So, yeah.
Well, Jess, so you have a Substack too? LaSalle, you have a Substack?
I
Yeah,
do.
everyone's
And I
dropping it in
have,
the chat.
I have a paywall to the extent that my paid subscribers get certain things. And I write to both, to non-paid and paid. But I write more to my paid.
Well, I
And
would expect that.
I don't feel if someone doesn't want to pay for something, they don't have to. They just don't get to read it. And I do believe that what I'm sharing, what I'm offering, a lot of the stuff I talk about is things that have happened in our life through 10 years of full-time travel. And I think that's an experience and it's a skill set. And there aren't many people that can talk about that. And I don't mind charging for some of that stuff
No,
at
I
all.
don't think
Like,
anybody who's charging should be
so
apologetic.
no. But I'm saying what you are going to bring is going to bring value too. And people are going to have to pay for your book. This is just a smaller version.
Yeah. Margaret, I really want you to write about Nazis. I mean, not like specifically Nazis, but you're like the topic of your book and what your mother survived and lived during the war, during World War II is now.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. It's
totally
becoming
now.
sadly more relevant.
I want you to write about that.
Okay. Yeah, no,
No pressure. No pressure.
No, I wish the book felt less relevant, that particular section. It's not only about that, but oh God, yeah.
Let's since we're at time and I want to be respectful of time, and this is like a great conversation that we're ending on, I will start a thread in the community space to keep talking about Substack. And Molly, you asked in the chat for links so people can share their links. People can continue this conversation about like what's working, what they like, strategies. Let's just
That would
keep
be
going
great.
with the support on Substack stuff.
And Jana,
Sound good?
that'll be chat. You hit chat.
No, it'll be a post, and then you just have the conversation in the comments like we do on the goals post.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Sound good?
Very.
Cool. All right, my dears. This was great.
Thank
So
you.
This
lovely
was
to
great.
see you all. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll talk again soon. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.